Well, guys, I want to talk to you today a little bit about what this is just an overflow of what God's been teaching me specifically since all this time of uncertainty has really unfolded. And the time of the coronavirus and the uncertainty, and when I first started hearing about this and first started processing it in my own mind, to be honest with you, some of my first thoughts were, okay, how am I going to get through this? All right, God, how am I going to get myself, my family, how am I going to get us through this? And how am I going to get, part of my role is working at a church, how are we going to get the church through this? It's interesting because what I've been reading in Scripture and studying just my own personal quiet time with an accountability friend of mine, and we've just been studying through, we started in Genesis at the beginning of the year and we're up to the Exodus with Moses. And so as I started to read, God really started to convict me and really started to change my mindset, and is still doing so, to be honest with you, from how am I going to get through this crisis or this time of uncertainty to, okay, let's think. Mickey, I've placed you here as a believer, as a child of mine, God to me, for a time such as this. And if I'm being honest with you, that really took a change of my mindset, and it's taking a change of my mindset. And here's kind of the way I process through that mindset of really going from how am I going to get through this time of uncertainty to God really just hitting me with seeing this, that if I truly trust God and who God is and know some of the characteristics of God, that one, God is in control of everything. He's all sovereign. He knows everything. He created me, go back to Genesis 1:1, He created me with a purpose and for a purpose. And if all that's true, and I obviously 100% believe it is, if all that's true, then think about it like this. God has created me for a time such as this, for His child to live, not to get through a time such as this. My purpose in life has not changed. As we know at the end of Matthew and beginning of Acts, we are to share the gospel, right? We're to make disciples as believers. And so my shift started to go from how am I going to get through this to, okay, God, this doesn't take you by surprise. You're still in control. You've still created me for a time such as this, to live in a time period historically as this, and you didn't do that by accident. So how am I going to not get through it, but how am I going to share the gospel in the midst of it? And how is my family going to share the gospel in the midst of it? How is the church, my specific church I work at, how are we going to share the gospel and minister and make disciples in a time such as this? And really, so that's where my shift has been coming. And let me encourage you, really what that's had me do is go from myself saying, how am I going to get through this, to seeking God and asking Him, okay, God, what do you have for me and what do you want me to do in a time such as this to further your kingdom? And really what I've been reading is Moses. You think about Moses for a second. Let's expand this. Think about Moses, who had to lead from anywhere from 1 to 2 million people without technology that we have today, out of Egypt, where they're completely enslaved, to the promised land. They had them for a period of over 40 years. Imagine that. And what really encouraged me, we're not the nation of Israel. I'm not Moses or anything like that. But what really encouraged me as I was reading is the same God that specifically had a purpose for Moses and to live historically in a time that He had for Moses, and the job that He had for Moses to do in that time period, is the same God that has me, Mickey Hamill, living in this time period. I asked my 91-year-old grandmother, I said, Gran, have you seen anything like this in a lifetime? She said, absolutely not. So we're living in historically unprecedented times, but He's chosen us as believers to live in a time such as this. So let me encourage you, don't do what I was doing of how am I going to get through this? Yes, of course, we want to plan, no question, but listen, instead see it as God still is in control. The same characteristics are still true. He's still in control. He still knows everything. He still has created me for a purpose, and none of this takes Him by surprise. So let me encourage us. Let's seek God to see exactly what it is that He has us do during this time to further His kingdom, and not just have the mindset that I've had of, oh, let's just get through it. But how is God really going to have His church grow and make disciples in a time period such as this?